we stop the recording and we have a small discussion about the possible transvision in Utrecht. Okay, so
good evening, everyone.
The floor is yours.
Hello, so that's the so the idea is to continue our little series of a presentation of the different organization, Transhumanist and Longevitist organization, and after Open Longevity, after USTP and the AFD Technoprog, tonight we have a presentation by Natasha Vita-Moore for Humanity Plus. So thank you very much, Natasha, to be here with us. And I immediately let you the floor.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. I'm not sure how much time I have, so could you give me some parameters to start out with, just so I stay within form?
I think that we are quite easy. So the previous time it was something like at least 3/4. 45 minutes, I think, and it could be 1 hour. I don't know what. It's depending on what you have prepared.
Okay, all right. So I don't think I'm going to be that long. But first, let me introduce myself. This is live streaming, isn't it? Okay. So hi, everyone. That's here right now, everyone I pretty much know. And for those of you who are attending via the live stream or watching the video afterwards, it's a pleasure to be here. This is a very important project because it brings all the different organizations together, and we can learn about each other. It's something that's very needed, and I think we can all prosper from it. My name is Natasha Vita-Moore, and I am I've had a number of different careers, but largely I'm an academic and have worked in the world of innovation, largely most of my life, crossing different boundaries on what field I'm in. I've never been sequestered to any one field, so I apply innovation and problem solving across fields. Even into the sciences, where I have had a scientific discovery, which is quite unique in that I am not a scientist per se, but I'm a person who notices where there are gaps. And when I find a gap, I develop the skills to do my best to resolve the gap or to bridge it in some way. That's possible. Now, I'd like to say right off the bat here, and I think this is really important, that each time we try to build out a new idea or a new product or a new innovation, it takes many levels of iteration. So the iterative process is extremely important to me in my work. And I think it is to every transhumanist organization and to the philosophy of transhumanism. It has maintained the same values and principles when the philosophy was first written and when I authored the manifesto decades ago. Yet it has advanced, it's changed, it's grown, it's matured in ways that I think are very beneficial. So we're no longer the outlier at the cutting edge, professing longevity and artificial intelligence and future worlds. But those ideas have become more mainstream in various fields. And I think then we adapt to it and see how it's going. Along those lines, I'd like to do a shout out to certainly the early thinkers in Bitcoin, which has now become so popular, Hal Finney and Nick Szabo, who are or may be the creators of Bitcoin. I know that it was attributed to a Japanese individual, but that's still unknown. Nick Szabo is still around, Hal Finney is not. But there's a still bigger question there. But that these ideas stemmed out of the works of transhumanists, I think is very important. And not only that, the work within encryption, cybersecurity, looking at the World Wide Web before it became the internet, these are all ideas that were held within this group of forward thinker futurists who identified as transhumanists or not. But this is important always to pay tribute and to recognize those nascent thinkers who could see what might happen in the future and realized it and took advances. Of course, that also includes science fiction authors like Werner Vinge with The Singularity, and how Ray Kurzweil certainly advanced it forward, and Damien Broderick, to be sure. But these things are really important for all of us transhumanists to know about. And one of my concerns is that it's not known. I find that I often have to explain this over and over again, where it should be part of our culture, part of what we know. And we don't have to talk about it all the time, but at least have those citations and references to know that we come from a very mature, solid, confident set of thinking and skills. And there is no room for insecurities among us. Meaning that when there is misconceptions, which there are many, about transhumanism, whether it's on Twitter or whatever social media platform or whatever journalistic article that is, more of a splash page piece that aims at denouncing or looking at the underbelly of transhumanism, it's good to read about, to know that this is going on, but I think it's important for us not to be shattered by it, because most of it is hearsay and balderdash. What I'm here to do today is to talk about two things. The first is the organization I'm executive director of, and at its inception, I was an honorary vice chair. And then I'm going to talk about my own work and ideas. So let's do the first one, because I think that is most appropriate. The organization is called Humanity Plus. It's an incorporated 501c3 nonprofit, and it has certain guidelines for its fiduciary responsibility that we must follow. And I think that's a great thing, because it is focused in education. And education, again, is so necessary for all of us. But it's the continuation of education. And what I've tried to do with Humanity Plus is to stay with the curve. And if not that, a little bit ahead of the curve in looking at where it can go and what it can do. So what I'd like to do now is introduce one person here who is the vice chair of Humanity Plus, and two who are former board members. Jose Cordero is the current vice chair of Humanity Plus. Thank you, Jose, for all your work. David Wood is a longtime board member of Humanity Plus and incredibly instrumental in helping to carve the vision of the organization. And he is one of our renowned advisors. And Didier Cornell is a former board member as well, who's made contributions. So it's really wonderful. And I see angels here, and I'd like to thank Mark and Didier for putting this together. So, hi, Angel Anhil. So lovely to see you. Are my angel. But I know you're Anhil. Okay, now I'm going to share the screen and go to Humanity Plus's website so I can unpack it for those of you who are unfamiliar with it. So if you just give me a moment here, I'm going to share my screen and pull up the website for Humanity Plus, which this is not it. And here we are. Now I need some feedback from you all. So let me know, is this large enough or is it too large? Should I make it larger?
You can make it larger, yes.
Okay, because my personal thing, is that good?
Not yet. It's better. Yeah. It's almost perfect. Let's say. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So, Humanity Plus again is an educational organization. It is a member-driven organization, but we do not only look at the paying members as consequential. Our membership is so vast and broad that our newsletter subscribers are our members. That those who work with us and we collaborate with, and who make contributions, and organizations that we sponsor and events that we sponsor, we also consider our broader members who we respect and value very much. The paying members do it, it's such a small amount of money. It's really doesn't support the organization. Let's say the greatest support that we have for the organization are donations that help foster the educational purposes. But the membership who do pay, it's $100 a year, or I think $8 or $9 in USD a month is it's of value, to be sure. It keeps, us functioning as far as our website and paying for the, our internet access and all of that. But again, those who have made large contributions have really pushed it forward in the ability to put on conferences and events. So this is our homepage here. And right out of the homepage, it says, change the world, impact with foresight, be the future. And that's what we have always aimed to do, to try to change not the entire world, but certain systems within the larger system of the world with the socioeconomic structures. We cannot be involved in politics. It is improper for a 501c3, but we do, since everything is political, we do have different views that certainly address it, but we do not support any political position per se. So our mission is to advance the ethical use of technology and evidence-based science. And this is pretty much the core of transhumanism. And here we say, what is transhumanism? And I think what is very important is that Humanity Plus has been around for a while. It's not the first transhumanist organization. It's probably the 5th transhumanist organization. We had X3 Institute, we had Aleph in Sweden, we had D-Trans in Germany and Brussels. We have a number of different transhumanist organizations. Humanity Plus started as a World Transhumanist organization created by David Pierce and Nick Bostrom, but it wasn't incorporated as such. In 2004, it was incorporated as a nonprofit. And in 2011, around that time, it rebranded itself and became Humanity Plus. However, the name World Transhumanist Organization is still within the auspices or the structure of Humanity Plus in the Articles of Incorporation, in the bylaws, and in our registration, in our taxes, and our license to function as a corporation in the United States. So it still is Humanity Plus, World Transhumanist Organization. So just to be clear on that. We put on summits, we hold bi-monthly academies it's a discussion debate. We support the Transhumanist Studies group. We have events twice a year for visionary women. Down here, you can see Jose Cadero there and some others. We encourage and support transvision events. This one was in Madrid, another one was in Paris that Mark and Didier put on. Education in Africa is one of our key projects that we do. Healthy longevity, and of course, humanity in space. We've always been very involved in space exploration as transhumanists, not Humanity Plus per se, but one of our board members, Gabriel Rothblatt, is very involved in space. And so am I. I did a pre-astronauts training, and many others are very strong advocates of space. One thing I want to mention here with our summits, during the COVID pandemic, we did put on a conference. It was called Beyond the Pandemic, and it was the largest transhumanist event ever. We had attendance of 3,500 plus people. And I think that it wasn't just because it was largely online because of the pandemic. It's because we really marketed it as a positive advancement, beyond prejudice, beyond scarcity. We were looking beyond some of the issues that humanity was facing at the time, beyond disease, beyond scarcity, beyond certainly the biases and prejudices, et cetera. One thing I wanted to mention here is we're looking at putting on a conference in 2004. Not sure where, maybe Austin, Texas, because it is such a hot space to be, but if not, then maybe in Europe someplace. But what I wanted to mention about this is that we're looking at an idea that was brought up a couple of days ago at Transhumanist Studies, which occurs every Friday. Again, it's right here, and Humanity Plus is a non-fiscal sponsor, meaning Humanity Plus does not give money to Transhumanist Studies, but it helps support it, and many transhumanists are invited to participate in the studies group, and I'll get to that later. But what I want to mention here is that in 2004, we aimed to launch an existential opportunity event. The term was coined by one of the members of our Transhumanist Studies group last Friday, because we were talking about existential risk and taking a look at how AI, this GPT-4 and the open letter, and so much has been stated about this. It's almost paradigmatic if you take a look at what is still going on in the news and in various organizations and discussions. And what we need is to look at opportunities, not just to be bogged down with the naysayers and negativity, but by applying existential opportunity, it affords or brings about the possibilities that could occur that could assuage some of the negative potentialities that people are discussing. So this is our homepage, Proof Your Life. Let me get to a couple of things here. Our mission at Humanity Plus. What we do, our mission is right here. And it's everyone pretty much knows this. We want people to be better than well. We look at the development of high impact technology to make beneficial futures available. We focus on science, technology, culture, and social issues. Notice I did not put politics there because we cannot do that. Again, for certain reasons with our status as a 501c3. However, we can be supportive of political issues and social and socioeconomic political trends, but again, not aligned with any one party. We're not for the right or the left or against the right or the left. We are looking at the future and solving problems. I think FM Esfandiari said it best, we're neither right nor left, we're up. So we look forward and onward towards the future and best solutions for all of humanity. One thing that is very important here, and I know this has been brought up often at some of the meetings, where people are very concerned about some of the naysayers or the misconceptions about transhumanism in social media. I don't think we ought to be wrestling with that necessarily, but I think we do need to stand up to it with confidence and just put an end to it. Whenever any of us hear something that is false information, just say, no, that's not true. Check your facts. And again, it doesn't have to be an argument or a debate or name calling, which often happens. It just ought to be stopped at the instance it's heard. Otherwise, it becomes an issue. Take a look at the recent dismissal of Nick Bostrom for something he wrote on the XP email list in the mid-1990s. Someone intentionally went after him, and that person emailed me and asked me if it was true that he said that. I looked in our archives. I said, yes, but you're taking it out of context. He was not trying to make a racist statement. In fact, it was a discussion about certain belief systems and science. And in fact, at that time, James Watson had made a public statement about the same type of thing. So it was a discussion, but it was taken out of context. And it caused some grief for both Nick and Future of Humanity Institute for a short period. But that's the type of thing. There are people that will hunt for tidbits of what's said in the past or even in the current and take it out of context. And we must stand up to that and not let it override the goodness and the fairness that we propose within the scope of transhumanism. So to clear up misconceptions is a new goal of Humanity Plus. It's been a goal for the past year, but I've made it one of our core missions. And if we just look through this here, it says, and I'll just read this for those of you who are streaming or can't see it. What has been, excuse me, what has been missing from the transhuman scope of the past decade is a necessary attention to the misconceptions of transhumanism. Often opinions are made that are based on errors in both academic works and mainstream articles that skim off the top of faulty information without checking for accuracy. Humanity Plus has made it an important part of our organization to do our best to correct misconceptions and misrepresentations of the philosophy and worldview. For example, transhumanism does not advocate for the concept of immortality for elitists, but suggests healthy longevity or unlimited lifespans for all humanity. Another example is the fact that transhumanism does support therapies such as gene therapies for eliminating gene mutations that cause horrific diseases, and not to engineer a superior race as associated with eugenics. Further, transhumanism is not made up of wealthy men who want to play God, which is another very misleading fallacy. In fact, transhumanism seeks to foster a more humane humanity through improving how people think about change and rational assessments of what the future could be for all of us. The use of technology for human enhancement is beneficial, as seen by the fact that, quote, there are roughly 8.92 billion smartphone users across the world. That's 86.29% of the global population as of 2023, unquote. Once a smartphone was expensive and only a few had them, but today the smartphone is an everyday device. This is a single example of how humans have enjoyed the benefits of technology. Soon the same could be said of longevity, that the cost will become so affordable and donated for free to people around the world that everyone can have access to biomedical advances to live longer, healthier lives. So I think this is very important for all of us to tackle the misconceptions and to use just even one example of a misconception to set the playing field straight. So here I've written about the safe and ethical use of technology, the advocacy and the transhumanist values, and so forth. So that's what we do largely. You can join Humanity Plus here. It's gone up from $60 a year, that's USD, to $100, just to balance out the increase around the world. And it's less than $10 a month. So everyone should be a member of Humanity Plus, not just for me, but for all of us, because Humanity Plus can do a lot. Not just because of its membership, its great membership and its leadership, but because it is the most known transhumanist organization, number one. Number two, it has a remarkable history. And number three, it is highly democratic in the sense that everything we do, we sketch out and look at opinions. Now, I want to qualify something here. I remember a few years ago, there was a bit of infighting about the logo of Humanity Plus. And I found it very strange that Apple could have a logo, that different companies can have their logo, Sens can have a logo, but it was thought that the H in the circle ought to be allowed for any anti-transhumanist to use. And I really disagree with that. I think it's really, you have to protect your product. You have to protect the goodness, the viability of an organization for it to grow and prosper, and to allow, to not care. And it's not about allowing or not. It's to not care that people are using it in disadvantageous ways. That's simply wrong. And in fact, it truly goes against the very core of the philosophy of transhumanism. We don't support biases, prejudice, hegemony, or intention to hurt others. We support diversity, fairness, uniqueness. And so I think this is really important. And I found it really disrespectful that the USDP put up a lot of different logos for transhumanists that anyone could use in defiance of that. I think it would be better just to use the logo. Everyone use the same logo that is on Wikipedia, rather than to try to compete with the Humanity Plus logo, which is a trademark. You think of the cost of a trademark. The person who designed that was given a heck of a lot of money to design a really meaningful logo that was owned by Humanity Plus. And I should say, let me qualify that. Any transhumanist organization can use it. Just ask and, mention Humanity Plus. That's fair, and that's a business. And Humanity Plus is a corporation, and it pays taxes. And people who donate money to Humanity Plus get a tax write-off. And we're entrepreneurs here. This is business. And we're in the business of transhumanism, which includes the ethical use of technology to improve the human condition, which means, of course, longevity and behaviors and our brain intelligence and our mindfulness, enlightenment, and our memory, and all the accoutrements of biology and technology, and evidence-based science. We don't support false science or fake science. We really encourage, evidence-based science, and that's important, I think, for all of us to remember in membership for Humanity Plus. You're not just, any member can use the logo, but just, use it wisely. So I think that's important. So the logo is shared, but it still represents Humanity Plus and our goals. And if you don't agree with the mission, then, certainly write to the board or, discuss it with me or anyone, and let's talk about it. The leadership here, we have our board, and Ben Gertzel is our chair of the board, and he's contributed so much to Humanity Plus through bringing in a heck of a lot of money to help us support major projects, and I'll get into that in a moment. Jose Cadero, who I already mentioned, who who is a world-known advocate of revolution, of the death of death, along with David Wood. Nell Watson, who has become quite an amazing a spokesperson for the ethical use of technology. Paul Spiegel, who is devoted to longevity and looking at the venture capitalists and the angel investors and what's going on in the financial sphere. And Gabriel Rothblatt, who is a strong advocate of diversity and space exploration. And so that's our board. We have 2 open seats, which is mentioned in our newsletter. We have our advisors, Martine Rothblatt, Max Moore, and Andrew Sandberg, who are longtime transhumanists. In fact, I met Martine many, many years ago, but I met her on the phone, but I met her also in person at the conference in Venezuela that Jose Cadero put on. And Anders, of course, used to run Aleph in Sweden, and he's now the Future of Humanity Institute. Max Moore created the first transhumanist organization, and he wrote The Philosophy of Transhumanism. He's the former CEO of Alcor, and he is the current current director at hold on, I just lost my sound there. Biostasis Technologies, good, it came back. Thank you, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's our leadership here also includes Susan Schneider, who is really a wizard at Future of Mind Institute at the Florida International University. Of course, everyone knows Greg Fay, one of the world's leading scientists and cryobiologists. Luke Robert Mason, quite a spokesperson. Aubrey Amy Lee, who was on our board for many years, put on a conference at Caltech and really did a sensational job with that conference. It was one of our major conferences. David Pierce, of course, Sonia Arison, David Kelly, Chagu Adul, David Wood, Stefan Sorgner, and of course, Planet Earth is on one of our advisors, because we can learn from the environment, we can learn from nature. And with all due respect to CRISPR-Cas9, that was invented, let's say, or engineered in nature. So while genetic therapies and genetic engineering was, that kind of still in that eugenics area or a no-no to do. Ever since CRISPR-Cas9 came about, there was a shift in the thinking about gene therapies. And again, CRISPR-Cas9 was not human-made. It was made in nature. So that's kind of beautiful. And here we have Ryan O'Shea, who still works with us, although he's devoted his time now to Lifespan IO, doing the videos. Chris Lawrence in Tanzania and also in Australia. And Susan Cutforth is our membership manager. So that's our team there, our projects. You can find our projects in the newsletter, but here's some, historical projects that we did. And of course, the magazine was great for a while, but if anyone who's put out a glossy magazine knows that it can be daunting. So we no longer do that, and the magazine is archived. But take a look. We held one of the first symposiums in Second Life. That was really great. And the London, David Wood was the chair of this conference here. Here's the post-pandemic. Here's our Second Life event. Again, it was one of the first events in Second Life, and it was really wonderful. The World Futures Day came out of that. We've had conferences at Harvard, Caltech, Parsons, Yale, Polytech in Hong Kong, San Francisco. Here's Parsons, New York. But these are just the few of the former. What I'd like to do is take you to our YouTube channel. And this is where we have our roundtable discussions. And I edit these videos so that, here's the playlist here. You can see the different, here's the videos here. You can just look at them from the different conferences, different events. Here's Stellark. I think this one was from Adam Ford. And the latest one is right here. And this was last month. No, it was the end of April, excuse me. The months go by so quick, really great. We're going to do a follow-up on this because everyone loved it so much. And we're also going to talk about existential opportunity at that. Okay, so going back, let me go back here. Oops, I have to go back a couple, I think. Maybe I can just go right here. So that's our YouTube magazine. Now, our newsletter is where we really talk about what we're doing. And this goes out to, it used to go out to about 15,000 people, but we narrowed that down because most people weren't opening it. So now it goes out to about 5,000. And here you can take a look at the newsletter. For example, our June newsletter, here it has a link to the discussion here at the H+ Academy on AI. Here's an announcement for SENS, who we sponsor many of their projects over the past year. This one is in Silicon Valley. It takes place in about a week. So if anyone wants to go to it, I'll be there and Max will be there. Here's best brands. I don't know why that blacked out. I did something wrong there. So my bad on that, mea culpa. But this is best brands in Warsaw, where I gave a talk on longevity to well over 1,000, maybe a couple thousand people, but they were all CEOs of like Samsung or Apple or Sony, different video games, major brands. I mean, not major brands, both they're global brands. So it wasn't just European or Polish brands, they're brands international. And it was an awards ceremony for, they had 3 different categories, and I was the keynote for that at the last. And I have a link to that if anyone is interested. This is an upcoming event, the Freedom Fest in Memphis, and I'll be speaking at it, and Jose Cadero will be speaking at it, and Ed Huggins will be speaking at it. Our session is on the, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Jose, but it's the maturation of transhumanism. Where are we now after X number of decades? Was it 4 decades, 8, maybe 5 decades, 80s, 90s, 2000, however many decades it's been around? Where are we now, and what has come, I think, matured, what has been realized, and how have we grown from being an outlier to now a key player in the now in academics, which is really interesting, but also we're mentioned, again, not always with the most positive commentary, but at least we're still in the news. And here, the International Longevity Summit in South Africa. And this is going to be a great event. I did write up the competition for it's called the Innovative Longevity Competition. And I'm one of the judges for it. I'll be speaking there. I believe David Wood is going to be there. I'm hoping Jose is going to be there. Maria is going to be there from SENS. It's a wonderful place to be. I don't know where the conference is going to be held yet. Last year, it was held at a resort outside South Africa, outside Johannesburg, within the region of South Africa, West South Africa. And here, this is good. It's a shout out to Biostasis Standard, which is a blog put out by Biostasis Technologies. And I have active links in there. And of course, the London Futures podcast, I like to feature it each month because I think they do a brilliant job with it. And here, these are the projects that we support, the 2 open board seats. Some books just giving mention to Death of Death now that it's out in English and on Amazon, and other books. So each newsletter is different. Let me just go back here. I think if I do it right. If you look at May's newsletter, we featured the African Futures, and Chugwu is here, and a big shout out to him. So I like to feature someone who's really doing something fun that's part of the larger transhumanist community and have their own organizations. This symposium was in London, and I know David Wood helped get the location and the organization. That shout out to this member here, Ben. This is the Best Brands, the Academy. This is the governance on emerging technologies at ASU. I speak at every year. James Hughes speaks at it as well. So as you can see, the newsletter is probably one of our more clear-headed reach out to people of what we do. This seed here, we're featuring Amy Lee, who resigned from the board graciously. She's working so hard on her own project. She just didn't have the time. And she'd been on the board for quite a long time and really led the successful summit at Caltech. So that, and I mean, you can go through the different. I just started in January 2022 because there's so many newsletters, but I think just keep it short and sweet. Going back to here, I wanted this to be as clear as possible. What is transhumanism? The philosophy, the manifesto, and the declaration. The only reason I put the manifesto before the declaration is because it's been ignored. And I think it ought not to be ignored, because if we're going to be mentioning Julian Huxley and transhumanism and wrongly giving him the, saying he was the philosopher of transhumanism, that is inaccurate. And I think he ought to be recognized as the leading evolutionary biologist of transhumanism who wrote about it early on. I think that his field of biology is extremely consequential, and it ties into Nikolai Fedorov and others, and that's so important to recognize. So this manifesto did get on board the Cassini-Huygens spacecraft and its mission to Saturn, and that was part of the European Space Agency with NASA, and one of the NASA astronaut scientists, astrophysicists asked me specifically to contribute that, so I did. And I think that's pretty amazing. We've already gone out into space saying we are transhumanism. Our goal is to, improve the human condition. The Transhumanist Declaration is a very important document because it set out some important priorities that seems to get lost when people are criticizing transhumanism. They're not looking at the declaration. There is nothing in the declaration that says we support creating a superior race. We want to control the world. We only want rich billionaire white men to lead the way. I mean, all this stuff that has been subscribed to transhumanism with hyperbole is so wrong, but it gets, there are groups of people, and in academics as well, in the postmodernist circle, who actually believe it. And that's why the book Transhumanist and Its Critics came out. The fact is really good. It was the work of a number of different people. Nick Bostrom polished it off, and then it was added to after that. So there's been so many contributions to the Transhumanist FAQ, and I think we need to continue. I think this could be one of the projects we can do because it does need to be updated. It's been too long since it wasn't. And again, back to the news, the different things. And here you can see the newsletters right here, which goes back to, now, I want to just move away from, let me stop sharing here for a moment. I want to move away from that and say that the projects that we've worked on this past year, because I think they're really important. We have really issued meaningful contribution to a project that was started out as Girls Can Code in Ethiopia, just teaching girls coding. And it's expanded, DigiTruck, and it's now part of an African, or for all 55 countries in Africa, a project to teach coding to people who need work, who need jobs, who need income. Not only that, they've now added electricity. So where it goes in regions of Africa, they're bringing in modalities, the engineering to help bring in electricity, and that's really important. So the amount of money we've given, we raised over $200,000 for in 2020, 223, over $200,000 for this project in Africa. And just recently, we also raised, we meaning me, our board, and our affiliates in Africa. And that's, many of you know Betty, and she was at the H+ Summit during the pandemic. So she runs it with some other people, but the bottom line here is what's really great is Tyler Perry donated $50,000 a month or so ago, which is really great too, because Tyler Perry is a producer in the film entertainment industry, and he does some really important, meaningful projects. So the fact that he donated money to this is really great because it's starting to spread the idea of what humanity, the letter was written to me from the Tyler Perry Foundation, so it went to Humanity Plus. So that is great that our name, Humanity Plus and transhumanism, is getting out into these other circles that are really doing good in the world. So I think the more we promote some of these projects that Humanity Plus is doing in regards to education and lifelong learning, or whatever the current phrasing is on that, is really important. Another project we are helping with is the Afro longevity. We have the, I mentioned it earlier, the innovative longevity competition. So hopefully that'll be good. And the sponsors for that are really important. So these projects, and it's not just Africa. I think that we need to see other areas. I would love to do things in, educational projects in other areas of the world. But I think that location, you have to start in one area, build your name for your product, which our product is education of transhumanism, and get some recognition for that. So I'm hoping that there is a shift on some of the misconceptions about transhumanism. We start looking at the things we do for good. Let's see. So in 2024, we hope to have a conference. We continue to support projects, and I think that's it for Humanity Plus. Now, let me stop here before I go into my own work. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, David.
What a fantastic survey of so many things. I have a number of questions, but I'll just start with one and then we'll see how it goes. One of the screens you showed had brief mention of H+ DAO.
Yes.
And I'm fascinated, but also puzzled by the whole field of DAOs. I know many people think they're the future, but I'm not sure how they work. And I just wonder, have you any insight as to how H+ DAO is working and what difference it's making to Humanity Plus as an organization?
Yes, certainly. It's not part of Humanity Plus. We didn't get the board voted on whether to make it a Humanity Plus project, and it wasn't 100%. So I think most of the board members are on the team of it, but it's not a Humanity Plus project. So it became my project because I still wanted to do it. But Humanity Plus is a non-financial, non-fiduciary, sponsor of it, because it is looking at doing really good work. Okay, so the issue of the DAO, this is a competition And we did place in the competition. In fact, we're number 3 on the website. So you pitch an idea, you write a proposal, and you structure. That's the first thing you do in any DAO. Okay, the way this works is that your proposal, it's just like with any cryptocurrency, any project, it gets voted on by those who own shares of the crypto or own shares of the organization. For this, it was Deep Funding that put up the prizes. I got a $40,000 prize. And that was the most I wanted to ask for. And it's on education and looking at ways to spread transhumanism projects for good. And so it did win the prize. Then the next step in that is it has to have the smart contracts and it has to be legal. So we did, we're located not in the United States, we're located in a different area of the world. And we do have an attorney, and the corporation is being developed. It has to be a structure, the business, let's say. It's not a nonprofit, it's just a business. And then the next stage is you have to do your deliverables. And it's very strict on what you have to do. You have to feed back into Singularity Net, for example. How can they benefit from what the H+ DAO is doing? So it's all, there's benchmarks. You have to reach each benchmark and prove that you're successful with it to be in flow. The $40,000 reward, or I should say award, is still there. It has not been used, not one single penny of it. I haven't asked for it because the downslide of the crypto, and I was told to be patient, to hold steady, and when there's a rebound in crypto, whether it's whichever crypto currency, then to use it then. What I learned is that trying to transfer the crypto in the format it was provided in the prize into Ethereum and then into dollars or whatever vehicle or trade bureau, it is so time consuming, and you have to pay, or you lose, you need to get gas along the way. It's timely, you have to pay for the gas. The gas is not gasoline, it's just waiting in line to get to the head of the line, how fast you can go to get your currency at the exchange bureau, exchange into whatever currency you want. It's best to leave it in crypto. And so the H+ DAO is currently in a point of stasis until that world builds up. However, if there was a project that was brought to me and it was really an important project, and say they needed $20,000 or $30,000, I would get in there and nickety split and support it. So the H+ DAO it's like an umbrella for any transhumanist goal, organization, group, let's say project, to pitch an idea, write a proposal, and to get money. Also, people can invest in it. But again, because that world has, over the past year, has had a lot of problems, especially with the FX, what was it called again? The
FTX?
Yeah,
Sam Bankman-Fried?
Yes, exactly. That caused everyone.
I've got his name the wrong way around, but these. So it sounds like I should listen out possibly for more news in due course.
Yes, in due course. Again, we're in, it's best to just hold still while things are messy. Okay.
I have other questions, but I'll give
a
chance to the others to chip into the conversation.
Yeah, Natasha, I had a pack of different questions, but I will put together 2 or 3 which are going in the same direction. My general idea is that when for myself, I discover Humanity Plus in 2008, something like that. I saw it like I saw that it played a role of general coordination at an international level. There was quite a lot of chapters. I had the impression that yes, this was this role. And if I understand well, you tell us, and it's a very good thing, that these last years, you put at the forefront the objective of education in general. But I'm wondering what happened for this previous role. Are you still trying to have a coordination, to play a role in a coordination at an international level? Or do you think that it's not exactly the most important thing that Humanity+ have to do? So, what are the situation for the different chapter, for example, in the world? Are they still existing in the US? Because a lot of them was in the US and worldwide. And have you got an idea of the general trend of the number of other members from Humanity+? Have you any vision on that, or not exactly? That's the first set of questions.
Okay, I'll tackle the chapter issue. So many people would apply for a chapter. And, they'd send why they want to be a chapter, and it was great. And they join and be a chapter, then they would fall by the wayside. And this was the pattern. People wanted to have a chapter, and then they ended up doing their own project and not participating as a chapter. And they would dissolve and just go by the wayside. And it became more work than beneficial. The return on the amount of time in trying to communicate with the chapters, keeping them, they pass on, they just fall apart. And it seemed, I think there was a big change at one point where people no longer wanted to be a chapter, they just want to start their own organization. And that was fine too, however people want to do it, and that's their choice. I think chapters they just don't really work. They just don't really work. Again, too much time, the whole thing, it just didn't make sense. And I think it's really 20th century thinking. I don't think we need chapters. We're a global society. We're all on the internet. We communicate all the time. We meet at conferences. And I don't think, I think what we could do is something I created some years ago called the Colloquium. And I wanted all the transhumanist organizations to meet together. WTA refused. I had Extra Institute, Aleph, D-Trans, can't remember what other, I think there was another group, the Italian Transhumanists, but World Transhumanist Association did not want to participate. They didn't like having to be a part of the Colloquium. And so it didn't go forward. And I was an honorary vice chair, but I was president of XP Institute at the time. So, it didn't work. Okay, our members are international. Humanity+ is located as a 501c3 in the United States, to be sure, but it's never been an American US organization. Our members have been from all over the world. Its founder was in Great Britain. So it's not an American organization or a US organization. It has always been international. In fact, it would be anti-transhumanist not to be international, because transhumanism, by and large, is not located as a philosophy or worldview in any one area of the world. People travel. I was just in Poland, Yeah, I'll be in South Africa. I'll be in Memphis. We all travel a lot, so we don't leave our belief system behind when we travel to any geographical location. We take it with us. So I think the transhumanism has always been global, always been international, and even XP Institute was international from the very beginning. Its members were from all over the world. Its board of directors were international to start with. So I've never gotten into the Italian or French or the different transhumanist organizations being of their locale. I think we should all be part of an international sensibility. And so the bigger question is what is Humanity+'s role with in collaborating and working with other transhumanist organizations. Its role is to participate. It's never been otherwise. I think that there has been a little bit of misconception, a little bit of gossip about Humanity Plus by some people. And I think that that's not very nice. And I think that having an organization that doesn't even understand transhumanism try to compete with Humanity Plus is kind of silly. So I think that we need to be adults here, and we all bring something meaningful to the discussion, and we could all do something important to help. So let's just be inclusive.
This question of chapters is one that's vexed me for a long time too, because when I was on the board, I tried several times, let's find which chapters are active and which aren't. And as Natasha said, many of them were interested for a short while and then almost nothing happened. So it was frustrating. And I saw in parallel, I also was associated at roughly the same time with the World Future Society, and they had the idea they should have a chapter structure too, and I could see that wasn't working either. So on the other hand, people do want to meet locally. Of course, we're online now. We're meeting in a wonderful way around the world, but people ask me often, David, when are you going to have another meeting in Birkbeck College or in the pub? Because they do want to get together. And I sort of slightly slow to organize them these days because the physical meetings do take a bit of effort. But there is, in at least some population centers, a desire to meet together. So we should be organizing them. And Jose's got an amazing set of colleagues in Spain, in Madrid, isn't it? Jose?
Yeah, and I just want to follow up because I was also involved very much with the chapters of the World Transhumanist Association. 20 years ago in Latin America, we opened 20 chapters all the way from Mexico to Argentina and Chile. And then, as Natasha explained, things have changed also in these 20 years. We are truly more global. And also, I think transhumanism is becoming more and more mainstream. So people, in a way, don't need sometimes so much to have this local chapter linked to this organization when this is becoming more mainstream. And we can have local activities, as we are doing now, for example, also in Madrid, as you know. And the idea changed. Natasha explained it very well. So I don't think, Mark, it is that needed as a chapter, and we keep on moving forward.
Mm-hmm. One thing I think we could do, which would be fun, I'd love to have, I wore this because I think it's pretty. I like it. But I know Andrew Sandberg is always wearing his Alcor necklace. But I'd love to have a T-shirt that had, transhumanism in some way with a beautiful symbol on it. I'd love to wear it. I'd love to have a transhumanist ring, all these different things I'd love to have. And they're great gifts to give too. So that's one little project that I've been thinking about recently, not only for transhumanism, but certainly for, pro-longevity. But I think that our conferences have become, our different events have become like the chapters were. It's like in LA, I used to have meetings frequently. Transhumanist meetings at Kafuni Restaurant in Marina Del Rey. We would meet once a week for dinner, and people would come from all over Northern, Southern California, Arizona, New York, wherever. And we'd have great discussions. And even at my home in Los Angeles, we would meet. But then and I think Peter Voss is probably going to be doing that in Austin, Texas, where he just moved to. But we meet at conferences, and that satisfies me. I love seeing you all at conferences and going to them or some online events. And I think that if we supported a project or a series of projects, then we could all be part of that and pay it forward. So rather than chapters, I'd rather have projects that we can collaborate on, that seems more entrepreneurial and it seems more timely, more current 21st century to have innovative ideas and to meet and all of us to come together and push them forward with our names on them. And then that's why I said, I think we need to get together and look at the FAQ and, update it. And, review the declaration too, because those two documents, I think more the declaration than the FAQ. I think the FAQ is kind of outdated, but it's important,
So maybe it's the good time, and I see that we have just close 1 hour, to ask a different kind of question. What about the idea I heard that maybe we can have a transvision in the US in the coming year? And connected with that, because tonight we have Charles Linson with us from Netherlands. What or how can maybe or can we all together help him maybe to organize a transvision in the Netherlands?
Before we do that, let me just finish because I wasn't finished. And Angel, did you have a question?
Is also towards Humanity Plus. The two questions.
Oh, Angel,
I wanted to add some contribution to local, global, and 2 messages. One for the future and one for the past, near future, near past. First for the future. As usual, every year for the 17th time, we are running next conference on vanguard scientific instruments in management, starting from 8th of September to 13th of September. Of course, I will send to all of you personal information and invitation. For the moment, I didn't send anything for now. But the day for longevity and transhumanism will be 9th of September. And if the presentations are too much, 10th of September will be a continuation. Normally, first day is longevity and transhumanism, as every year. And second is education, but some of the presentations normally could be associated with education and transhumanism. For example, that was the case last year with Natasha and me. So all of you are kindly invited. All paperwork is done. A little bit funding is ensured. It is a local event, but as usual, it is a global event. Online participation is possible. Everything will be recorded, YouTube. As every year, I will prepare a detailed invitation and will send to all of you as regulars to our conference. In addition, I will send a personal letter from me. It is good moment to make an additional sub-event about the book of Jose and David, because the proper people will be there. If the book will be ready, I am not sure, but if it will be fine. If not, we will present the book once again. Jose told me that he is expecting in September the book will be already issued, which is, of course, the best. We have that practice to present books or movies or YouTube channels or whatsoever. So it will be a good contribution to the conference. So expect the invitations, be ready for participation in a local event, which is actually global.
Okay, thank you. I didn't finish. I don't have much time, so I need to have the last word here. And then I want to help Mark with what he's in. I think it's really important to separate me from Humanity Plus. I am not Humanity Plus. I'm just the executive director. I am transhumanism. And I've struggled with this for a number of years, whether to not be a part of any one organization, because I I really want to speak for myself. And I'm restricted with Humanity Plus because as its executive director, I need to be very careful about a lot of things, and that's respectful of the organization. But I don't know what to do. I would gladly step down if there was someone who could take the job. But unfortunately, there hasn't been. And so I'll do it because it's volunteer work for me pretty much, you know, and it's a hard job and it takes a lot of time. Making these videos, organizing things, it's even the newsletter takes several days to do, make sure everyone's represented accurately, all the links were, all these different things. And that's just not dealing with fundraising for these different projects that we're doing, and then trying to think of how I can put on a conference in 2024. But what we need to do is remember that each one of us is separate from the organization that we represent or we're a member of. We're transhumanists to start with. And so what I'm doing, I run the transhumanist studies, and of course, I've gotten lots of constructive feedback about that, but I'm going to be writing a book. I'm in the middle of it, actually, on the history of transhumanism, because people keep on getting it wrong. There is only one history of transhumanism. Even Elise Bohan got it wrong. I mean, if you look at her book, she even says that I changed my name to be a futurist. That's not true. I changed my name to Natasha because my eldest brother called me Natasha and he died of a heart attack, and I loved him deeply. I got married. I changed my name to Moore because my husband's name is Moore, and he was an American citizen. And we didn't want the INS any problems with that. He was working on his doctorate at USC from Oxford. So there's a reasonable thing. I went to school in Italy. I love Vita, life. So I put that in there just because I was changing my name. So when you get things wrong, it sends out a misconception. Again, with Huxley, he was a biologist, not a philosopher. And the first use of the term, I had to deal with Stefan Sorgner about this recently. And Stefan, if you're listening, you'll know about this. Where the first use of the term transhuman came to, I did that research with my mother, who got dementia. And because of her mind collapse or the dementia, really inspired me to want to do the scientific work in long-term memory with cryobiology. So there's a reason behind things, and we need to know each one of ours true purposes. I need to know Mark separate from his association with the French Transhumanist organization. I know Jose separate because he's with so many others. And it's really important not to identify people specifically with their organizations. I think that's what helped to damage SENS. Aubrey was too much the organization, and it really struggled to get back on its feet without Aubrey there. And after he was removed. So these things are really important. But when I speak about transhumanism, I'm not promoting Humanity Plus. I am speaking from my heart and my mind about something I co-created. Now you could say, oh, well, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Oh, yes, I did. And it's because of that I'm not sure where I stand with all of this. I need to talk about Humanity Plus. That is my responsibility, to be sure. But I also want to be really clear what Humanity Plus represents and why it's an important organization. And perhaps, Mark, the reason why you brought up the chapters is because you're thinking, oh, it's an American organization, and there's conflicts with other organizations in the world. And no, there's not. There's never been. We have always been open, to the ideas, and especially me. It's the only problems I've ever had with any of the transhumanist organizations when they don't get their history correct, or they're self-promoting themselves, like the USTP with Zoltan. I really found that was really insincere, and as something I've said to Zoltan, you are not spearheading transhumanism, and to say that you are spearheading transhumanism is false. There are many people spearheading transhumanism, from many different sectors in their own work, and that is to be valued and appreciated. So maybe what we need is to find to value each other and to give each other far more respect and love and appreciation, rather than to have these, segregated, I'm this country, you're that country. Does that make any sense to anyone?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I want to say a few things. Maybe there will be elections for two new members of the board, and I hope that there will be many candidates. I'm candidate for a second mandate, and I think one of the places where we don't have enough contacts is the Russian side or the, let's say, Eastern side. So I hope that there will be candidates from this place. And one thing more concerning the chapters and international aspects, I think one of the ways we could work more is to have what in Belgium, in France, we call hybrid meetings. So meetings that are with people online and with people who are in a place. So we can in this way, you can have the best of both worlds. Of course, it's technically not easy. And then you said at one moment, I listened to the conference that you were organizing. Yeah, it was end April about AI and dangers of AI and other questions. So it was really very interesting. And you said that there will be another one, so that's great because yeah, it was really one of the many. Well, there were many discussions concerning that, but this one was especially interesting. But one more thing, I was 10 days in Montenegro for this Zuzalu event, who was very related to transhumanist questions, especially to longevity, but not only. And what it was strange, it was nobody used the word transhumanism anymore.
I was aware of that.
You spoke about the question of slogan, and so that's one question. But well, and the name of Humanity Plus is not with the word transhumanist. So what's your opinion about this very old question for the Association Française Transhumaniste, at least? Do we have to use the word or not? Do we continue to use the word?
No, Humanity Plus, it does have it's Humanity Plus, AKA World Transhumanist Association legally. It still is the World Transhumanist Association legally.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay, yes. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but Humanity Plus was more agreeable. I love the name, the World Transhumanist Association. I think it's a great name. Humanity Plus, I also think is great. I think Humanity Plus ought to have been a project of the World Transhumanist Association, reaching out with a sense of connectivity to people throughout the world. So one of the reasons I really wanted to focus on Africa and South Africa, Nigeria, and Ethiopia, and other areas that I've been working on is because it was a gap. No one else was doing it. And there was an opportunity that Ben Gertzwell found, and we jumped in and seized the moment. And I think that it's really sets us apart. Humanity Plus World Transhumanist Association, because it is a definitive project where over $200,000 was raised and donated, and it's going to show up in our taxes next time around, and it's for good. No one walked away with pocketing that money went into a very serious project. They have a beautiful website. They're doing great work, and so that's really great. No other transhumanist organization has done something like that of that magnitude to help people in an area of the world that need help. But why aren't we talking about this? Why isn't that being promoted? And any one of the different organizations that wants to be part of that, that's great. I'm sure they would welcome it. You can do it with us or by yourselves or whatever. But I think that it's really one of the better projects. Why else would you get, even the U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia donated $15,000 to this project through us. I mean, that's good stuff. United Nations, Tyler Perry Foundation, the other major 200,000, I think it was $220,000 came from a major well-known investor. So that's really great. But, I don't want to, I think that maybe you all can be helpful in how do we spread that information without sounding like we're bragging about doing it, but that we're really doing something for good. Yes, and thank you, Didier. I was very happy with the way that meeting went. I got lots of compliments from people. It was a little bit difficult to steer it with so many speakers, but Anders wants to do it again. Robin Hansen wants to do it again, and Max and Peter Voss want to do it again. They all do, but I think I need to I'd like to bring in Susan Schneider for the next one, and Nell Watson. I think we need to, I always say we're the women, there are not enough women. Well, I have to, show that I'm doing it too. And I'd love to bring in David Wood, but maybe he can be one of the mentioned, and Caleb Chance, maybe they can be some, ask questions there. I would love them to be present in some way. So it's a little tough. But I just want to say, please separate me from Humanity Plus. And there was two parts to this. One was Humanity Plus. I want to show you all the things that we're doing, and our membership continues. I always want more members. I wish thousands of people would join Humanity Plus. When I see these churches with thousands of people in the pews, on TV, or hear about these cults that have thousands of people that, do all these weird stuff with these cults, I go, why isn't transhumanism? And it did disturb me that transhumanism was not mentioned. And what was it, Montenegro? Did I get that right?
Zuzula, Montenegro.
Yes, Suva.
Yeah,
Suvalu,
that was so shocking
Montenegro.
to me. Why? What happened?
I mean, when I was there, I wasn't there the whole time, but when I was there,
I
there
didn't
was
see
no
anything
mention.
on transhumanism mentioned, but at the Freedom Fest, there's a session on transhumanism, and there ought to be at all these different conferences. So that's maybe something that we can do to be proactive when we go to these events and go and find or speak to the people about transhumanism. What shocked me was even though I didn't mention it during my talk in Warsaw at the awards, I did two different interviews, and both interviews mentioned transhumanism. So at least that got that out in the mainstream. So let's go to Mark, because Mark wanted to talk about a conference, a Transvision in the United States, and we want to be team players and help with that. So.
Yeah. I don't know if there's nothing like that in the scope for the coming year. I think that I wrote it somewhere, but it's not accurate? I don't know.
Oh.
So the proposal isn't for a conference in the US. The proposal is a conference possibly in Utrecht or in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's two different things. I was wondering if there was nothing in project in US, and in the other part, yes, there is.
Yes,
this,
I did mention that in 2024, I do want to have a conference, maybe in Austin, since that's such a conference place these days, but I'm not sure where that is. It could be Transvision or H Plus Summit. The name doesn't really matter to me, but it would be on taking a look at AI, have some really solid discussions and debates, and also looking at education, and especially looking at the new concept of existential opportunity. Yeah. So that's what I was talking about. And yes, it would be in the United States. Not sure where. Every place is so expensive these days. I mean, who wants to go to New York? I mean, not me, but LA is always easier. Silicon Valley's, but then you got San Francisco, which is not doing well. So it's tough.
Okay, thank you. Well, so
technical. I saw Charles his hand before. Charles, maybe if you want to speak, you don't. Yeah, don't hesitate, I would say.
Hi, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Natasha, for your talk. You touched upon very many things, and yeah, I had a question regarding to your talk. I don't know if there's time for that, or if you want to move on to the organization of the Transvisions events in the coming years.
No, go ahead with your question, of course. I think, yeah.
Right. So this is it's kind of related, I suppose, to the event. So I'm having the privilege of possibly co-organizing this event for the current year, and we're looking at Utrecht in the Netherlands to do it in. And so we're brainstorming and thinking a little bit about the contents of the program. And so you mentioned in your talk that the Transhumanist Manifesto has been updated several times over the years. And I was wondering if you could comment on how those updates have tied into, let's say, the zeitgeist of whatever was happening in society at the time of the updates, and where you see maybe.
No, I think I said, I think that the fact needs to be updated. I don't think I mentioned that the manifesto had been updated, but it's true, it has. And yes, the manifesto, as it was written in 1982-83, it was published in 83, it was kind of written in 82, was more poetic. It was very much Dante, you know, it was, that's Alighieri Dante who first used the term transhumanare. It's very poetic, and it was meant like a march, you know, it's very short and sweet and poetic. Then the more I matured, talk about maturation, and started seeing the world around me more clearly as a futurist. I wasn't a futurist then. I was an explorer. You know, I was doing the astronauts training. You know, I was performing all over the world. So the more I started becoming aware, I didn't even know what philosophy was. Then I had to not only change my worldview, how I looked at things, but I also had to update the manifesto. So it's gone through a number of iterations. And the most recent one was dealing with the Donna Haraway's, which is used as a salvo in academia, especially in you know, the social sciences, humanities, philosophy, all that. I'd rather be a cyborg than a goddess. I think that's right. Isn't that what she said? Rather be a cyborg than a goddess. Well, no, thank you. I don't want to be a cyborg. I said I'd rather be a transhuman than a cyborg. So I addressed that because that became one of the most important pieces of writing in that time frame. And there's other things, and I think what I'm looking at now, as far as the transhumanist fact, which I think we could all work on together and update, I think we really, really, really need to get a hold of this gap in transhumanism, which makes us look like we're all like some kind of uncaring, lacking in empathy, lacking in understanding about consequences. And it's not us. I think each one of us are loving, kind people. We all have our foibles and idiosyncrasies and all of that. But why do these news articles still say, when they mention transhumanism, they mention, oh, Peter Diamandis or Ray Kurzweil-Cold or Peter Thiel, or I just like, they're not even involved. What? I mean, Ray is for sure. And now I communicate with him. He sent me his book to review. That's coming out in 2024. And Peter Thiel, you know, but they're not in the trenches with the rest of us, you know, and so why are their names put on this stuff? why isn't transhumanism part of every conference that, and I think it's because the work that we're doing that we care about, everyone else is pretty much doing longevity these days and AI these days. And the things that we talked about early on, it's become so mainstream, but it hasn't taken transhumanism with it. And so there always has to be a bad guy, and transhumanism has been the bad guy. Oh, yes. Oh, we can, longevity, everyone's great. All the doctors working on it, but transhumanism, no, they're going too far. They want to be God. So I think we really need to make it a community project to develop either the marketing, the language, the something. And I know that some people are very concerned because they spend their time on Twitter and they listen to all the negativity there, people hating transhumanism, whatnot. And I'm not in that world. So, but I am aware of it. I'm not naive with this. I am aware of it. It's at a meeting after longevity. I don't know who was there. I think maybe Jose, were you there? And someone who attended, who is a member of the USTP, just started dissing transhumanism. Just, it was awful to hear. And I just said, I'm not staying at this meeting. We can't have meetings with 10 people and someone being biased and discriminating against someone's belief system in the meeting. That's totally inappropriate. And so I don't understand it. Maybe someone wiser than me can help explain it, but I do see that it is something that we need to think about. Well, actually, well, yeah, and Peter Diamandis for his trip, his longevity trip, at $70,000 to go. It's not just for the rich. And I think that all you need to do is, these arguments have been going on since the 1980s. So what do we do? I don't know, but I think that's why we need this town hall meeting, right?
Well, your idea of existential hope is a way
not
to
existential hope. No,
that's existential opportunities. I'm sorry, that gives away the question I was going to ask. I mean, that is a thing that we can seize, publicly seize a more positive vision. And I think that's a great idea to create that. And indeed, the existential hope is what the Foresight Institute do.
Yes.
And there has been reference to existential opportunities before. When I had that phrase in my book in 2016, I certainly didn't make it up. I copied it from somewhere else. I don't know. But it's time to reaffirm that part of the transhumanist vision. It's a long part of the transhumanist vision, but maybe it deserves more attention now. So I would support pushing that forwards, and then people will stop saying, oh, you've got a weird idea of the future. They'll say, wow, this is a wonderful idea of the future. Maybe transhumanism is more positive.
Yes, no, David, Delta Wisdom, here we go. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I am fully aware of existential hope. I've reviewed it. It's Allison's project that she's working on over at Foresight. It doesn't check all the boxes, and it's very
expensive as well. I thought of signing up for it, and I thought, oh my goodness, no way.
No.
I see lots of people there. It's not an open, inclusive conference. It's for...
No, and they're not open and inclusive. We quit doing things with them because they had asked me so many times to help out. I mean, not me personally, but Humanity Plus.
Yeah.
And we did on 4 different occasions between Christine and Allison, just, helping things, being supportive. They've never reciprocated. So bye-bye.
But we can do our own version of that. Existential opportunities. There are things within our grasp now, which will not just the super longevity, but all kinds of other aspects as well.
Oh, so many, and you're so right.
And that might seize the public conversation. Not just what Peter Diamandis is saying, or maybe it is the same, but we're not charging people $50,000 for it.
No, can you believe that? It blows my mind. And I was reading Peter's message this morning. I thought, well, he says, I'm going, that's not new, but he does have the presence, and he's a great spokesperson. And I think he's the new Aubrey de Grey. Aubrey, of course, cannot be the spokesperson for longevity anymore. bless his heart. But I think Peter Diamandis is a great one. But unfortunately, he is part of that elitist, very wealthy group of people.
I think
So
there'll be multiple spokespeople for longevity. I think
there
Aubrey
needs
still
to
has a
be.
role. He has a unique insight, but there will be other spokespeople for longevity as
Yes.
well.
And all the love and respect.
Like
to all.
Jose Cordero.
But he needs to stop saying immortality. You're getting us in trouble all the time.
Well, that's another subject. I'm going to have to dial off. I need to go. It's been a great conversation. I'm sorry we couldn't get on to but we can tackle that some other time.
Maybe, David, you have 2 minutes for we could speak 2 minutes about Utrecht potentially. So
2 minutes and then absolutely the end.
And and yeah, and Aubrey certainly still one of the best people for longevity and one of the best leaders, but with others, of course. Yeah. So Charles, maybe tell us a bit about what's possible at the moment in 60 seconds or 100.
Right. Well, at the last Transvisions get together in Paris, we briefly spoke about the possibility of taking Transvisions back to the Netherlands, where some of its earliest occurrences were held, I believe. So I have a contact in Utrecht where we can use a venue very central in the city. We're arranging the budgetary details, and we're brainstorming a bit about the program. And this is maybe also tying into my my question to Natasha earlier. So what are some themes that we want to touch upon? So there are several that are making the short list, and some of them pass by in the discussion. Anything from biotechnology, life extension, post-scarcity. So this positivity is, I think, also a very nice angle, and a redemption maybe of the word transhumanism. So maybe that's a bit of an open question. If there are suggestions for the program.
And Charles, one technical question: did you have the time to check for the 3 days that we were speaking about just a few days ago?
Yeah, I'm chasing people down, and I don't have an exact monetary amount, but we were looking at the last weekend in November. Yeah,
I mean the potential place in Utrecht is free at these 3 days.
Yeah, but I haven't gotten an exact monetary amount yet.
Okay, but I mean, okay.
So that's 25th, 26th, 27th. Is that the last weekend in November? Is that the date?
It would be Friday 24, Saturday 25, and Sunday 26.
Jose and I will probably be in Dubai.
I know that Jose and you will probably be in Dubai. Yeah.
I mean, there's never an ideal date for
there is never, and because I was Googling around and I didn't see anything organized, and this event is kind of not open.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. It's a dark event.
Yeah,
got to know about it too.
If it could be the weekend before, I think that David and I would be happy to go to Utrecht. But on November 24 to 28, we have to be in Dubai.
Yeah.
And before that is the Healthy Masters Conference in Portugal.
Are you sure? No, Natasha, I think it is later. No, it's before. It's November 11, 12. So the weekend after, November 18, 19 is okay. Actually, it is the Foresight Eurovision weekend that we will not go, as we were discussing why.
Yeah, I think cost, Yeah,
I was thinking maybe to go to spend my money for once. Okay.
So I would propose those dates, Charles. November 17, 18, 19. Those would be fantastic.
I will check for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will check.
Is there any conference in October?
Well, in October, it's usually there are many conferences, and also it begins to be really short, November. That's why I would prefer end November. Okay.
So it seems that also again, coming back to Natasha's talk, that transhumanism and this coherent set of principles and values is more relevant than ever in the current day and age. So to make that connection.
Yes, and I wish I could come to the conference, but I can't. I mean, that's the business traveling time in the United States, and there's no way I'm getting near an airport during the Thanksgiving holiday here. And then
that might affect other people then.
Yeah, and I have to be in Portugal because I haven't, and I think it would be really disrespectful not to go. And so I can't fly back and forth. Yeah, I could September and October, I'm fine, or December. I don't think there's.
How about the first weekend of November? Then?
I can't travel across the globe twice in the same month. I can't afford to do that. Yeah, it's like I don't have an open purse.
When is Thanksgiving, Natasha, in the USA?
It's the 26th of November. And usually that week is insane. Yeah, it's just awful. Yeah.
Then that would have been bad also for the original date, Didier.
But our plan was to make it a hybrid event. Am I right?
Right. Yeah.
So there would be a live stream and maybe the potential to dial in live.
Yeah.
Does anyone know who put on the conference? And I'm going to get it wrong. In Montenegro.
It's it was organized by, you mean it was lifespan.io, and that was, but the main organizer was Vitalik, so from the crypto industry.
Vitalik,
yes,
you're asking about Zuzalu? So
Anton,
I was a resident there.
I didn't see that you were there.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I think I missed like most of your meeting, like around the number of whatever you discussed. Yeah, I just had a conflicting meeting, just got free from it. So I've been a month in Zuzalu, and the major organizer was indeed Vitalik, but on longevity part, VitaDAO was in charge, and there were also several other people on AI and ZK parts. And so far, I can say that they plan to make it. I think Didier, you were there for several days, right?
Yeah, I was there 10 days. So, yeah. So the
I was also for the last 2 weeks.
You were there also there.
Yeah, and you were pretty unlucky, Jose, because you missed the longevity week.
Yeah, the key person for longevity was Lawrence Ion, but Anton was also very active, and key person for the whole organization was Vitalik, and maybe Kate Comito also. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Ketsu was also pretty active. She was in charge for longevity 101. Okay, Mark.
Yeah, maybe we can finish now. Just Charles, let's continue maybe to contact to make a next appointment to see all the dates. Well, there is no date who is going to be okay for everybody, that's for sure. Yeah, but if it is hybrid, of course, it's also easier. We will see.
Okay, unless there is urgent stuff that Mark wants to tell, maybe after he leaves, I can make a few suggestions.
You mean for Transvision? You mean or?
Yeah, because
or maybe as you want, but I know that many people has to leave now. So I would say people who want to leave now, they leave, and then we listen to your suggestions.
Just a last thank you to Natasha for tonight's presentation.
Very much, Natasha, indeed.
And I have to go. Bye. And
Bye.
So if you can and share with Charles some information, it will be very nice.
Yeah.
So good. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye. Anton, your suggestions. I'm listening. Well, Charles and I.
Basically, guys, I see it is being streamed somewhere. Is it YouTube?
Leonid, tell us about that. I don't, because it was organized by Leonid. Maybe Leonid is not listening at the moment. So it was streamed, that's for sure. But the technical aspects are organized by Leonid. So it will follow.
Just if Leonid can send me the link so I can watch.
Yeah, sure, of course. I will give the link.
Okay, great.
I will also give the link after the.
I will skip after the call. That's a nice thing. So far, some of my suggestions. So far we have a division between transhumanists because, for example, I disagree with many AI alarmists. And I believe we need a serious open source versus non-open source AI debate. Maybe we can get somebody from both sides, maybe that less wrong guy who was crazy about
Anton, I will stop you. Well, of course, this is already, I would say, for a second phase. We will speak about longevity for sure. We will speak about AI for sure. But after that, we will see. But of course, the question summarized by doomer or not doomers will be there, and open or not open will be there also, of course. Yes.
So you mean that you first want to decide on the dates and the venue, and only then on the program? That's what you mean?
I would say the dates, the venue, and the main teams, and after that, well, the speakers, it will be for later. But okay, go ahead. Anyway, it can be.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is that I disagree with many transhumanists on AI safety, and I think it's something that can actually make a breach in the whole movement, because there will be clashes on open sourcing and non-open sourcing things. That's what
I don't understand. Why can't people have a different opinions? Why do you? Yeah. What is this divisionism? I mean, I don't agree with my husband on everything. We're not divided, we're a team. I think that being able to have different opinions about things is consequential to the safety and the evolution of any organization or group of people. Otherwise, they become stagnant, same clones of the same kinds, like a cult. It's very important that we have different views and different opinions, and to be able to discuss them clearly with rigorous and logical arguments. So I don't see a divisiveness at all. In fact, I would say it's best to have different views, to sort through them to find out which views are the most applicable and the safest and the best, right?
Yeah, but concerning, I of course theoretically agree, but concerning artificial intelligence, the people are very divided between people who say this is very dangerous and people who say this is not at all dangerous. And yeah, that's typical that even the three godfathers of the AI, they diverge radically.
And which are the three godfathers of AI?
So
they are already dead.
They're already dead. No, John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, and who's the third one?
Maybe okay.
Only
okay.
black and white photos are valid for the fathers of AI. If it is color photo, it is not
okay.
But
even. Let's say stop. I used an expression in the media. Even the most recognized specialist of AI totally diverge. Well, I would say they are more saying it's dangerous than not. But on the French side, you have more saying it's not dangerous. But okay, I don't know.
Remember when Bill Joy wrote the Splash article headlined in Wired magazine, Why the Future Doesn't Need Us? And he said we need to stop technology now. Remember that? How many years ago? That was 20 years ago?
I'm not discussing about the, but I mean, by the way, Unabomber just died.
Yeah, we've still gone forward. Yeah.
But on the other side, it's not because you are falling from the 100 meter that no, I about this image until now everything's okay when you are falling, you know. So okay, I don't know. Anyway,
we are participating in this discussion for already 55 years.
Yeah, sure.
It is not something new. Actually, it was much more bloody before, when in big Soviet encyclopedia was written literally, cybernetic pseudoscience of bourgeoisie, insisting that machines could think.
Yeah, cybernetics, Norbert Weiner.
Yes, I'm participating from the very beginning in this discussion, from the time I was a student.
Yeah.
But let's say about the fact that it's not, it would be not so dangerous because we don't die until now. You could say the same about nuclear war, you know, we never had a nuclear war, but for me, it's like a miracle that it never happened.
I agree.
I think we shouldn't.
But okay, anyway, I was the guy asking not to speak about it, and I was speaking about it.
Yes, the thing is, I think that Anton, it's very important because there are very polar opinions, and we need nice debates. And maybe not from theoretical people, but also from people who do stuff. For example, I would invite the guy who made the Open Assistant, who is like one of the open source activists who does a lot of stuff, for example, as a suggestion. So this is
at the recent event that Didier talked about, I had specialists, programmers, not theoreticians. Yes. Robin Hansen and Anders Sandberg are theoreticians, but Ben Gertzwell and Peter Voss are practitioners.
Yeah.
And I was very careful and I think that that's what was missing from the open letter and the Future of Life Institute, that it was the open letter itself was theoretical and it was kind of loosely written. It didn't really make some strong points. But if you look at it, it's where are the programmers? Where are the ones that are really developing the machine learning and working on AGI? Well, the two most known are Peter Voss and Ben Gertzwell.
Well, most known are Sam Altman, but probably you cannot get him because he is.
Sam Altman was it. Okay, Anton, other comments for the conference?
I don't know if he's working on AGI. Machine learning is his area.
Well, I mean, CEO of OpenAI. Of course, he works on AGI, and same for CEOs of Stability and CEOs of.
We need to get our terms really accurate. There's a big difference between machine learning and AGI.
Well, I mean, those who do like the most advanced large language models and who are like managing it.
Yeah, large language models.
They work on real AGI, not just stereotyping, but they actually moving in that direction.
Machine learning.
Okay. Anyway, that's for Utrecht.
Okay. Anyway,
other things
to go in the discussions. So one suggestion is this stuff on AI. Second suggestion, we can get people who, in my contacts, I have people who actually do connections of neurons to chips. For example, those brain in the dishes that they trained for managing to solving games and other stuff. So I think it would be nice to get those guys. I don't know. I mean, what are maybe Carl? You can contact me after the call to see what are the options. But we really need people who are actually developing H+ technologies, not only people who are making theories, even though they are also important. So on brain, I would invite that guys, and maybe there was one guy also working with that lab that works on brain regeneration that presented at Zuzalo. I forgot the names, but they're, I think, connected with Sense, so they would be nice as well. And I really liked Actually, one of the transvisions I liked the most, it was transvision by Mark and Didier with many like round tables. It was not super productive after the conference, but I enjoyed a lot of group work and discussion. So it would be nice to think how we can foster this kind of interactions. And maybe we can also talk get somebody, if there will be progress on longevity network state. By the way, today, Lawrence, not today, but tomorrow morning, Lawrence is sending the document. If you didn't put any comments, I think it's the last time today. So there is Montenegro document. So we need somebody on longevity network state, and probably maybe we can get somebody on biohacking side, not necessarily transhumanists, but somebody who does stuff. So I think it would be nice to get people more people who do stuff, not just community and theoreticians like.
But Anton, I'm listening to all what you said, but you know, the problem is it will be only 3 days. So not everything will be.
But we can get at least several like scientists that. Not only like usually it's like longevity people and theoretical people, and we need more people who do technologies related to uploading. More people.
What conferences are you talking about? It's usually just longevity people, or
I'm talking about transmission because usually.
That's not true at all. That's not true. The conference in Madrid that Jose put on, there was many different practitioners in the sciences, doctors, scientists, medical breakthroughs. It was
even space travel, agriculture technologies, many things, water.
Yes, and the conferences that most of the summits, they're not theoreticians. If you look at the H+ summit in 2020, where we had such a large group, that most of the speakers were actual computer scientists doing programming on AI, scientists actually working in breakthrough cryobiology, fields of cryobiology. I mean, across the field, architects, designers, people actually doing that. So I think I agree with you that oftentimes transhumanists want to theorize on things, repeat the same thing over and over and over again, like they just thought of it, where it's already been out there, like Peter Diamandis did today. But we want to see what people are doing. So it needs, what you're suggesting, I think, is you want to see more makers and doers. People are making things and doing things. Well, I would say that everyone here that is a maker and doer, certainly Anhil, come on, and Jose and myself. I mean, we just don't sit around theorizing on stuff. We actually create projects and things that have changed the world. So, but I agree with you that we need to move further away from that, because even the open letter is mostly theoretical. And so, I mean, most of the people that, I mean, unless they're an advocate like Maria, she speaks a lot, but she's not a doer really. She's brilliant at bringing people together, and that's a skill in and of itself. She's not a scientist or technologist, but it's, why does everyone have to be a scientist technologist? We're the artists, we're the writers. You know, these they incredible documentarians create stories that change the way we think. So I think with any topic on AI, on the different polarities on it, you would want to have people who are actually, again, the word, in the trenches, programming, doing machine learning, you know, really programming Python, really programming new types of algorithmic exchange. And so that would be David Kelly, you know. So
I have to apologize. I kind of commented too harsh. I mean that usually I've been to many transvisions, including Jose's. I just mean that usually cryonics and longevity there are really good, but in terms of labs that do mind uploading. I mean, not mind uploading, usually it's just some brain in a dish stuff, or in terms of some other H+ technologies, they are underrepresented. That's what I mean.
Well, yeah, but Ben Gertzwell has certainly created Sophia the robot, and she has been at most of the Transvision conferences, and that is a robot.
Well, honestly, I mean, honestly, I have to admit that I don't think that like this robot and its programming is very advanced. It's very good in marketing, and
yes,
but it's not the leading technology, and it's pretty dumb, to be honest. I mean, I
agree with
saw
you.
how many problems it has with communications.
Yeah, but it's at the pace. I mean, Bina, what is it? Bina 45? I can't remember. Bina
48.
Bina 48 is quite bright. I mean, she does work with it, and it's increased its
Okay.
algorithmic acumen over the many years. But I think that I don't know. When I head in a dish, I don't get that.
No, I mean the organoids, neural organoids in a dish that are connected to a chip that actually controls some program. So it's one of the steps to actually have compatibility between biological neurons and electronics, and it's actually one of the important steps in brain uploading, because we need those interfaces between biological neurons and the hardware, and that's why I think it can be important to get some.
Well, yeah. I mean,
okay, yeah. Just I propose to stop here. I think we globally agree. The only problem is that 3 days will not be enough for everybody. That's for sure. But okay, we will continue, and I think Charles, and certainly I took notes of the suggestions. Can we?
Yes, thanks very much, Anton, for the suggestions.
Yeah, can we stop here? So the next meeting will be normally the second Sunday of the month, July. So it will Saturday. So it should be Saturday 15. But anyway, there will be invitation, and one of the main points will be preparing Utrecht if everything is fine.
I see the second Saturday and Sunday of July are 8 and 9. July 8 and 9.
What did I say?
You said 15.
Yeah, it's yeah, you're right. I'm not able to count until 8. Yeah, no, of course you're right.
Sunday, sorry. July 9.
Yeah,
that's good.
Okay.
On Saturday it's supposed wait, Sunday, July 9. Sorry, I'm yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Fine. Okay, so see you in a month.
See you in a month. I hope. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Natasha, for your nice presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't even think I was giving it. I hope I didn't bore anyone.